Members of the Joint Finance and Appropriation Committee are going to have to do their homework in advance of the committee this year. We think that's a good thing.
I think that getting those budgets started on the front end will help people see them, understand them better, and get us out of here earlier too. A lot of times we get at the end of the session and stuff's getting passed and thrown out some of those budgets that we don't understand.
Okay, so last week we talked about the new streamlined process the Joint Finance-Appropriations Committee will put into play this session. The plan, they tell us, in its simplest form, is for agencies to submit their PowerPoints of the requested budgets, like they always do. But instead of presenting that PowerPoint in front of the whole committee, members are going to take those PowerPoints home and treat it like homework. And then those agencies will stand for questions in front of like subcommittees, smaller groups. And the hope was to cut down the number of 3-hour JFAC meetings that have always seemed to be the norm every session at the State House. However, there seemed to be another part of this streamlined process that missed a lot of the people that were not on the inside of it. According to Ilana Rebel, the House Democratic Minority Leader, who says she and many others only learned about it Friday. Apparently, JFAC passed a whole bucket full of skeleton budgets today, the kind that would be just enough to keep the lights on, not funding the launch program, for example, or teacher pay raises or repairs to roads, really bare bones stuff in order to save time. The idea is apparently to pass these budgets, since that's the #1 priority of the state legislature. If they only did that one thing, they could go home having fulfilled their constitutional requirement. So I guess the plan is to then reopen these budgets at a later date and adjust them according to, well, what is requested, like funding the governor's launch program. But as they say, and according to Rebel, the devil is in the details.
Well, the catch is that my understanding from talking to the parliamentarian is that the threshold to reopen a budget, which is what you're going to have to do after 110 budgets are passed this morning, the threshold vote for that requires a 2/3 vote.
Thank you. A quorum being present, we are ready for business.
So what they've really effectively done is they've increased the threshold to pass budgets from 50% to 70% for all of those things like launch grants and teacher pay and fixing roads and all that stuff. I think if you ask the majority of the people, do you think we should need a 2/3 majority to pass all budgets in the state? They would say no. And I think, frankly, if you ask the majority of people in this building, they would say no. It's hard enough to keep the state decently funded and operating with a 50% threshold. You set that up at 67%, you are not going to see the needs of the people of Idaho met.
And tomorrow looks like it's going to be the first test of this new process to see if there will be an issue with reopening a budget with the required 2/3 threshold. JFAC has the governor's revised budget, the Office of Drug Policy, the Commission for Libraries, and the State Historical Society budgets on their agenda starting at 8 a.m. And tomorrow we will also try to get an answer as to how this process came to be the new norm.